dear friends. I welcome you. My name is Alexey Ognev. I'm the CEO of DigiU. And now it's a long-awaited webinar, live. I want to emphasize that it's live now. So I encourage everyone to ask questions, whatever interests you in our chats. And at the end of this webinar, I will answer all your questions. And the people who are joining now, I want to remind you that we conduct our webinars with simultaneous translation in 7 languages: Indonesian, English, Hindi, French, Spanish, and Russian. And everyone who is joining now, and everyone who is asking to put the language that they speak, please just go to the corresponding language, and there you will know all the main news and all the relevant information about our ecosystem. That's the first thing I wanted to tell you about. And there is always at least one person who asks for a translation. And that's why we try to do our best to do the simultaneous translation for 7 languages. What we are going to talk about today, just recently I came back from my long working trip. I visited several countries, and I quickly remind you where I've been, with who I met. And after that, we had this important event, the Leadership Congress, where we gathered all our partners who wanted to attend. Also, we participated at the Money Expo exhibition in Mumbai, in India. And then we'll move on to the Q&A section. And maybe we will cover some other different topics during the Q&A session. So if we look at the year as a whole, in April, I went to Vietnam. I met with a lot of partners and those who promote the company. I met with the companies who are interested in integrating our products. And then I came back to Russia for a few months. And then I went to Vietnam again, where I spent 1.5 months with our partners, where I visited key cities: Ho Chi Minh, Nan Hoa province, where we held big conference in each of the cities. We also had a training for our partners. Because already then it was clear that no, our products are clear for all the partners. So we had to make the training from the company. We also presented our products, our venture capital fund. As I said before, our goal as a venture capital fund is to invest in at least 30 companies. So we looked at promising startups, and we're interested in that our countries who are leaders in terms of promotion of our ecosystem. So we invest in those startups so we can have a closer partnership with these active countries. Because especially those countries such as Vietnam, Indonesia, CIS countries, African countries, they have very developed technological foundation. So I made some conclusions from the Vietnam trip. Then I was waiting for a visa to go to India. And then I was supposed to go to Africa, to Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and Nigeria, to those countries who we are working with since 2020. I've been waiting for this visa for so long, and we finally made it. We opened an office in India. Basically, it was a non-stop activity, meetings, a lot of meetings, and that's why we didn't do so many webinars as before. And if we conducted webinars, they were in recordings. And so we paid more attention in text posts. Also, we had a webinar with Alexander E. who had a very interesting webinar as before, as usual. And maybe at the beginning of July, I arrived in Africa. The first country was Cote d'Ivoire, and then it was Nigeria. I was very impressed. I want to say hi to everyone from those countries. And I want to tell you about the key differences, and that impressed me the most. We had trainings, and I was impressed by the financial literacy in terms of cryptocurrency, blockchain. And only at the end of the visits to each country, I had a chance to understand why I'm asked so many questions. And these questions were very specific. I hear this type of questions only when we look at certain companies. And these specific questions, they very impressed me. So people who are promoting our project in African countries are very informed and very knowledgeable. Some of them, they have university degrees. Some of them, they even teach in universities or schools. So people who are promoting our company, they understand the venture funding, blockchain industry. So most of the talking we had was about the future, when this or the other product goes to the market. And also I had many meetings with startups, with payment systems. We also signed a few memorandums about partnerships with large educational institutions in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon. And thanks to our partners, we had a chance to present our solutions. We also had a chance to present our solutions to the Central Bank of Nigeria. Also, we presented to the audience on the topic of CBDC. How with the help of CBDC and with the help of us, we can provide international payments. Again, I was impressed by the level of knowledge, financial literacy, level of partners who are investing in us. They're all grown-ups. Also, I was impressed by the things we are used to here in Russia, such as bank cards. People there, they don't have them. And they do their calculations. They don't rely on banks. They don't use banks who are not interested in people. They are doing them using payment systems. And these payment systems are connected to their phone number. And this approach ensures a very modern payment system. We talked with representatives of payment systems, and also we are signing a few MOAs. We sign memorandums so we can provide our solutions for international payments. To be honest, economic situation in those countries is not very developed, I would say. And this leads to that many people spend a lot of time for financial education. They learn technological solutions. And for example, here in Russia, to teach something about technological advancements and modern technology, you need to get a lot of certifications. And for example, in Côte d'Ivoire, in Cameroon, it's much easier. And it speeds up the process of education of citizens of those countries. So they can learn very fast new technologies and other related topics. And I think soon these countries will take a big step in terms of technological development. As I said, Nigeria has impressed me with the technological structure, in Nigeria, I had the most number of meetings with startups. I've been to different cities and I met with 20 or 30 people, and everyone had a startup. They were in different stages. Someone had already had a traction. Some of them were related to blockchain, to cryptocurrencies. It's also payment systems and the solutions related to financial processes. Even some solutions related to everyday problems that already have some audience. And maybe one of those startups that I like the most. It's very interesting and local, but with an unusual approach, at least for me. But one of the startups, it's a voice device that speaks in 50 local dialects in Côte d'Ivoire. And this device allows for people who don't know how to read and write use the internet using only their voice. For us, maybe it's not unusual, but there is a demand for it, and it has some users. And what I like about these working trips is that you can see the demand that the country has, especially in its local scene, and the amount of possibilities that if, for example, one of our products will enter this local market, how it should be presented. For example, EYWA. Will it be interesting there? And if it will be interesting, how we should present it and how it can be beneficial for the audience in, for example, one of African countries. How it can benefit people and benefit the ecosystem as well. It's a lot of work, to be honest. And I'm very thankful to our partners who organized these meetings and press conferences. It was a good boost for the whole ecosystem. And in the regional level as well. And after Africa, maybe I've missed something. But when I'll answer your questions, I will cover as much as possible. So after Africa, we went to India. It means me, Alexander E., and Peter Tagunov, and also some other team members, to hold the first leadership congress and participate in the exhibition. So the exhibition was in August 12 and 13. We sent our request in May for that exhibition. So we got the invitation to be speakers and to participate in panel discussions as well. In some of them, we had the possibility to participate, in some not. So we got the invitation to talk about some interesting things. For example, Alexander E. talked about the future of DeFi. Not only DeFi, but the financial industry as a whole. RWA, real-world assets, in the example of CBDC. He talked how all this process will be done in the future. That will be in front of us very soon. And the most important thing in terms of personal development for Alexander E. is that he did his speech in English. It was a big boost, and I encourage everyone to congratulate Alexander E. with that achievement. I did my presentation with a translator. and I hope that in the next big conference, I will give my presentation without the translator in English. And my topic that I was focused on was the future of banking, illustrated by the example of RWA. So I had some time to dedicate to this topic and to present some innovative, not quite innovative, but new solution where there are few factors that should be considered, and each of these factors can happen So a few days ago, we posted the transcription of our presentations, both me and Alexander East. So I recommend everyone, to each partner and investor, to have a look and see where we are going, to see in which directions we are investing now, and why some key players of the market agree with us. Please read them carefully. They are not very long, and please share your opinion on them. Because, for example, when I ask our audience about buybacks, the answers we get for these questions, they can impact our last decision, our final decision. And it's one of those advantages that crowd investing gives us. Is the company promotion, is the meetings with government structures. It's when people get rewards from the referral program. It's quite an honest business. I would also be happy to answer your questions on the exhibition. Also, we participated in a panel discussions with colleagues from other companies. We also had a good location for our stand. Of course, our stand was not the only one there. But it was always crowded. It was not so big. There were other ones with big screens and so on. Some of them had some performances and other encouraging things to get some attention, but our stand was always crowded. And now I will try to explain why we made it happen. To be honest, we were surprised for that amount of people because it was our first conference. Because it was not very easy. We presented a few projects at the same time: Venture Capital Fund, EYWA, SpiritMe, and Binarix. So the amount of information was quite huge. For example, for Venture Capital Fund, we explained how we select the projects and where we select the projects to invest in. So how we made it happen to get this amount of people next to our stand. First of all, because of the promotion of our ecosystem. So when we knew that the exhibition will be in Mumbai, we decided to gather all our partners in Mumbai to organize a training so people will understand our product better. So when we were traveling around the world, we understood that Vietnam is a good country. And also we understand that we need to invite Vietnamese partners to India so they can share their experience to Indian partners. So we invited leaders from Vietnam to India. When I visited African countries, as I said, I was impressed by the level of knowledge. And we also decided to invite partners from African countries to India. So it would motivate them more and they can share their experiences. And they can increase their level of knowledge even more. So there was a delegation from Côte d'Ivoire, delegation from Cameroon. Sadly, the delegation from Nigeria couldn't get visas. Of course, it's our fault. There is such a thing as visa limitations. And of course, the next time, and I can assure you that there will be next time. And then you will all know how to get there to this event. We will choose the countries. We will choose the country so all the people can go, so they will not need visas to get to that country. So it was kind of training where we shared our experience, how we achieved the result that we have now. We talked about our plans, about updates on the products. And one of the key things was the signing with all the members who participated is the agreement on confidentiality. Because we can talk about some things publicly, but on some things we cannot talk publicly. It's a usual practice in the industry. So we presented our products, talked about the ecosystem, shared some non-public information. We also gave the floor to all our leaders, what they need and what they lack. All of them shared their experiences. We started at 9 or 10 in the morning. And all this time, partners were interacting with each other, maybe until 2 or 3 a.m. at night. What we did for the Indian audience, we found a person who is an expert in the industry we are working in, who learned about our products in detail. And now he's doing a special program for Indian leaders. So our products are promoted in the country very wisely, with the understanding of demands of plans of our ecosystem. So we signed memorandums with each country with which we are working about opening offices, physical offices. So we plan to open offices in each of these countries by the end of this year. Of course, if it is needed. It's important, and my trip has proven that. Because it's quite difficult to promote the ecosystem when there is no place to gather all the people. So we agreed on that the ecosystem is going to that third stage of the development, which is called Technopark. And one of the things we talked about was that the ecosystem needs to meet with government structures to be able to build our own technoparks in each of those countries, to expand our possibilities in terms of science and promotion of our products, and get the DigiU ecosystem onto the next level. So basically we signed the document and there is already some working going on. We signed the document so we can invest in those startups in these countries, and therefore invest in the economy of those countries. India, Indonesia, African countries, and so on. Also, we talked about the development of our partner program. We presented the concept called DigiU.30, which is a private club that we will talk about later on. So after that day, our partners started to look at our ecosystem not as investors, but as co-founders. So in the moment, there was a change. And then the next day, no matter where the partners were from, Cote d'Ivoire, Vietnam, India, our team, even translators, everyone was working at the stand. And it was not like a fixed timing. Everyone participated in our stand in different languages. For example, I saw as one person was trying to explain something in French. And of course, from that, we got the result. At the stand, we talked about our presentations, and our presentations were focused on fintech. There were a lot of projects related to trading, such as Forex, exchange, and so on. And our presentations were kind of highlights of the exhibition. And at the end of each presentation of both me and Alexander E, we got a lot of connections. And people were asking us, what do you do? To which companies you invest? And after that, we get a chance to meet with Central Bank of India. More specifically, we had a chance to meet with the investment department of central bank, which controls a multi-billion dollar department. Of course, we listened to our colleagues' experience. So we had a meeting with the vice president of that department. And now we continue this conversation with them. So I want to say that we get the results right away in terms of startups, technologies that we can implement, in terms of commercial solutions that we can pass on for testing. And all of that is because of our partner community, who did their best to make this happen. They worked hard both in the Leadership Congress, at the exhibition, and before and after that. So what awaits us in the future is the upgrades of our existing products, upgrade on DigiU Wealth product, and again, I encourage you to read our presentations of both of my one and the presentation of Alexander E. to understand where we are looking at and what awaits us in the future. And now I will move on to the announcements of the future events. For example, in September, there will be the TGE in EYWA, Token Generation event. It will happen in September. So the team is ready for that. There are some final preparations. So after this event, after the TGE, the vesting period will start. In the next quarter, there will be the IDO of the project, of the token. And after some days, after IDO, in some days, there will be listing in some of the platforms, in both decentralized platforms and in some centralized exchanges as well. I will not announce them. I will not announce the names now. I'm not sure if it's legal, if it's good to name them, but you will know when they are ready. And I want to remind you that each upgrade of our product impacts the development of the ecosystem as a whole and the amount of dividends as well. And now I want to ask my colleagues to see if there are any questions in the chat. Now, I'm honored to tell you that we paid out dividends on the 15th of August. It was a cool event. Which was welcomed very good by our audience, by our community. And there were questions why they were so low, why it took so long to pay them out. Now, I would like to think about and answer these kind of questions that may arise. The ecosystem pays dividends from the profit. And the dividends have 50 or more percent of the profit. And for the whole period, we dedicated around $340,000 for dividends. It's a big amount, which could be invested for the development or go to investments to the venture capital fund to buy some technical equipment. But we decided, and I think it's a very good decision, to show the commercial reliability of our products. And when I was traveling around the world, I heard some questions. I invest in different projects for many years, but the DigiU ecosystem is the only one in my portfolio we can be called differently for everyone. So it's the only one that pays dividends. And for me, it's a confirmation that the company is reliable and it was a good decision. And we spent this money in the right manner. So I congratulate everyone. Yes, the amount is different. In January, for example, we paid around 80,000 and now we paid around 30,000. Of course, we had an increase in packages sold. Many of you got installments and you paid off them in advance. And the dividends, of course, the dividends may differ. And I saw many questions like, why they are lower now? And thankfully, there are people in the chats who answer these questions and answer them properly. But I want to remind you that we have the only one product in full commercial operation now. And it's increasing its quality. And there will be some upgrades in the DigiU Wealth product. There will be some new features. And I want to remind you that we don't invest in high risk solutions. And that's the main advantage of the product. That's why people trust in that product. And of course, with new products going into the market, with new investments in different projects, such as Binarix, SpiritMe, with the launch of our marketplace of the tokenized real estate, we will get more profit. And therefore, we will distribute this profit to dividends as well, and you will see the results. If you watch the webinars and see my post, it's not a surprise for you. So I encourage everyone to understand our product, to understand where you are investing. We are a very transparent ecosystem. Please read all the posts. You can read the document about our ecosystem. It's not very long, it's 64 pages. And there is And there is a section about how we make money, how we distribute the profit, and about the part that goes into dividends. So once you read this document, it will be clear for you. So please join webinars and talk with other colleagues, ask questions and answer them. So there are some questions I see. There is a question from Indian broadcast. Will the DigiU participate in an exhibition in Dubai? I cannot answer this question right now. We have a list with the exhibitions we are interested in. Our goal now is to participate in key events in our industry. And in the next 2-3 years, we will make big exhibitions once in 3-4 months, where we'll have our stand, participate as speakers in one of countries where this exhibition will happen. Also, it's about the local exhibitions in those countries where our partners will participate as speakers. And maybe we will also go there. Maybe one member of the team will go there to participate and talk with the partners. Also, we can participate in other exhibitions as guests. It's also an effective way to network and get some connections. I think once we finalize the list of the events we want to participate in, we will publish it, and I will be able to answer your question. And I want to congratulate all the citizens of India with a successful mission on the moon. It's a big technical achievement. It's a big technological advancement. I see the great pride that all the Indians have. Of course, we congratulate them in our chants, and I encourage everyone to congratulate India on that successful mission. I also see questions like, what is tokenized real estate? What is marketplace for tokenized real estate? So for everyone who asks this kind of question, to watch the last 3-4 webinars where we talk about these topics in detail. For example, these questions come from the French chat, and all this information is available in French in our chats, in our channels and webinars. And if not, please contact your national representative. He will give you more information on that. Now we are launching a project related to marketplace, tokenized real estate. The website is ready. We are talking with investors and possible partners. I think there will be a separate webinar on that marketplace. It will be the next product, the next commercial product of the ecosystem that will impact the dividends, of course. What about buybacks and dividends? I see this question. I remind you that at the end of June, we organized a survey who are interested in buybacks and the audience surprised me, to be honest, because when we offered this buyback to our audience, many of you said that it's not relevant now, and that's why we decided to pay dividends and not conduct buyback. There were some theories about the price of a possible buyback. It's an open question if we will conduct a buyback this year. So once we get all the applications for buyback, you will know the total amount in dollars, and then you will know the price. But it all depends on the interests of the ecosystem. What is more interesting for us? To conduct a buyback, or for example, to invest in 3 or 4 startups that could increase the capitalization of the ecosystem by 3 or 4 times. It's an open question, and please wait for the information. Is it because of the buyback the dividends got lower this time? No, because we spent less money on dividends this time. As I said before, we spent 50% of the profit for dividends. For example, last time we spent almost all of our profits for dividends. This time, we decided that we need to invest in something. So we dedicated some funds for exhibitions, for promotion of the ecosystem. So we can make a few investments in the next couple of months. And now we are in the final stage of selection of startups for investing. So now we spent around 50% for dividends now. But as I said before, we will not spend less than 50% for dividends. Now I want to ask if you are online or no. Yes, I'm online. When will DigiU go public? When will the company conduct an IPO? So in our roadmap, the first IPOs of our products should start in 2025. Now it's year 2023. And the first project of our ecosystem, I'm talking about EYWA now. Already this year, this project will conduct an IDO. And we are proud to tell you that we are ahead of our roadmap for almost 2 years. And now the project value is around $60 million. And after the IDO, it will increase even more. And if the token will rise, of course, the capitalization will increase as well. And it means that capitalization of the ecosystem will also increase. There will also be binaries that will go public. If the whole ecosystem go public for IPO, this question will be answered when we go from stage 2 to stage 3. If the ecosystem will go public, or if the ecosystem will develop more privately. Usually these questions are asked if investors want to exit the company. And for example, buyback is one of those options. Another question from India: in which cities DigiU offices will be opened? We will open our office in Delhi, in Mumbai, we already have one, and we want to open offices in big cities because it's easier for the team to go to big cities, and economic factors also help for this decision. There is only one question in the Russian chat. What will be the price when the ecosystem go to IPO? It's very hard to predict. There will have to be some procedures before this question may be answered. First of all, there should be a valuation of the company. And we want to finish this process in 2024. So then we will be able to answer questions such as: what is the capitalization of the company? What is the true price of our share package? And so on. And of course, the earlier you invest, the more profit you may have in the future after the valuation process is finished. Now I want to focus your attention on paying your installments. We focus the attention of our leaders, of investors, because when you pay off your installments, you get the chance to participate in promotions, in prize draws. So we stimulate to pay off the installments. And if you have overdue payments, you have 90 days to pay them. And after 90 days, you risk to lose all your shares. So please check your installment payment period. And of course, these overdue payments, they slow down the development speed of the ecosystem. That's why we have such promotions as get 25% bonus for paying off installment in time, and for paying for a share package as a one-time payment, you get a 20% bonus as well. So please use these promotions and take advantage of them. And as I said, in September, there will be a token generation event for EYWA when the vesting period will start. And related to that event, now we are conducting the snapshot of EYWA tokens. So if you make any payment in the ecosystem, you will get EYWA tokens for free. If you make any payment from the 11th of August until the 5th of September. We will give more information about that. So if you want to get EYWA tokens before it is on the market, before the listings, on top taxes and DEXs, is the last opportunity for you to get these tokens for free. Thank you very much for this webinar. If you have any questions, please ask them in our chat or ask our partners that will answer you.